All right, welcome everybody. I apologize that I'm a little bit late to the party. I'm a minute late, but today we're going to go and talk about what's happening in the markets. We're going to cover some interesting things that are happening with some of the specific stocks. We're going to talk about Tesla. I made a video just earlier today talking about Tesla. We're going to cover just a lot of really interesting stuff. If anyone has any questions, make sure that you go and participate. How come we don't have chat? 1 second. Have I screwed it up? Why is chat not allowed? If people can, got it. 1 second. Hello, it's available. Okay. I think it's just something up with my software. I apologize. I keep trying to experiment and try to improve, but anyway, we're up, we're live. So quickly, let me just enable this. All right, good. Hello, everyone. Overnight, there's been a couple of news stories that are not really material probably to a lot of stocks that people are invested in, but one interesting thing is Virgin Galactic, which has been yo-yoing quite a lot, got the approval from the FAA to fly passengers to space, which is huge. So obviously there's the upcoming flight where Jeff Bezos and an unnamed paying passenger and who was it, his brother or whatever, that are all flying, and that's going to be an exciting one. But this is big because this is quite unprecedented, where they're essentially this is the green light that they've been wanting to get in order to be able to fly people to space. Whether it's going to be commercially viable and how many people are going to be doing it, etc., is all a big question mark. But in pre-market trading, we saw a 20% jump, and I think that's probably even a conservative jump because that is a really big thing for them. Hello, everybody. If anyone has anything that I should be talking about or any questions or anything, make sure you stick it in the chat, and hopefully I'll see some of it. Maybe not all of it, but we'll see. The other news story is that Nike reported their first quarter profits, and they beat results. They did really well. A lot of people buying, especially in the US. If you go and read, there's like some interesting stuff in here. They did really well, particularly in the US, and there's a lot of question marks as to exactly, you know, like why potentially that was, and how strongly is it correlated to the lockdown situation. 1 sec, I'm gonna quit this here down. But the truth is, it's a good number, and that's probably the two big movers. So Nike is up 15%, 14.3%. It was a little bit more earlier. Tesla is up $10 to 690 in pre-market trading, which we're about a minute away from going live. So we'll see what happens with that. But that'll be an interesting thing to watch, because yesterday and the day before that, for 3 days, we've had some crazy levels of growth for Tesla. We closed yesterday on $680 after over here hitting the $697.50-ish at the top, which was a pretty massive run, given the day before, whenever it was, they closed, I think it was 656. I'm scrolling way too far. Anyway, let me go and set my candlesticks to the right thing. Apologies, my candlesticks were not in a good place. Yeah, so we kind of like had a good period in the middle of the day yesterday, but then it all fell down. So let's see where Tesla opens in just a few seconds. I haven't seen many other news. I don't know if other people have. I've lost my chat again. Should we talk oil? No, says Mo. No, I don't really trade oil. I talk about investing primarily, first and foremost. And to me, commodities like oil are very much traders' haven, unless you're an oil company and you have like your specific positions you need to be closing for the medium long term. So I don't really cover it, just because I don't talk about trading, and to me, those two are entirely different concepts. I sometimes partake in some of the fun and games to do with trading, but anyway. Kyle Charles is asking an interesting question. So I have a portfolio stake, and somebody tried to buy an ETF and was disappointed that you can't do it. One thing you need to know about Stake. So Stake is another platform that I've been using more recently. It's over here. I've got my portfolio where I'm trying to beat the market on it. Let's see. We just opened the market. We're going to go and look at all the individual trades in just a second. Just before we do, let's answer the question. So we're up a little bit at the beginning of trading today. Stake is a platform only for buying US stocks. You can't buy UK stocks or any other country stocks. You can't buy commodities. You can't buy Bitcoin. You can't buy ETFs either, unfortunately. So it's a great platform for people like me, for other people interested in picking particular stocks, etc. But it is not an one size fits all. It doesn't cover a lot of things that some other people would prefer. So that's the downside. I actually have a review on stake that I'm planning to be making. It probably will be Monday now because I'm probably going to run out of time today to do it, but there's certainly downsides alongside some of the things that I really particularly like about the platform. Anyway, we're up and Tesla's opened as predicted, up from where we closed yesterday. Slightly lower at $688 than the $690 or so that pre-market expectations were set at. Let's go around the houses and the usual beginning, just see what's happening with all the other ones. AMD, wow, look at that big sell down there. What's happening with AMD? I haven't heard any news this morning. I mean, like, it's all relative, I guess. We're only talking, what, a 40-cent movement, like 0.5% movement, but it looks big, right? It looks big on the scale. Oh dear, that scared me for a second there. Ostrex saying signed up using Sasha's link. Yeah, if you want to go and try stake out, I have links in the description. Thank you for reminding me. And you can get a free share if you use the link. And the free share is worth at least $11 something, whatever GoPro is worth, which is pretty good. All you have to do is deposit 50 quid. So that's not bad if you're based in the UK, Brazil, Australia, or New Zealand. You can go and do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Not only is Ostrex a channel member with 2+ month status, but also he's getting himself involved in setting up some accounts through affiliate links. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyway, let's keep going around the houses with companies that we're interested in looking at. Interesting, CCIV opened up after closing sort of facing downwards yesterday. Nvidia continuing to climb. Nvidia's been having a crazy period. And it's kind of interesting because there's a huge group of traditional classic investors who will say that Nvidia is horrifically overpriced. The valuation is based on nothing. It is just like I remember watching videos when it was priced at 500, 600, and people saying, wow, it's just so horrifically overpriced, it's about to collapse. There are some big new YouTube channels that talk in those kind of ways, which seem to be very popular. Maybe I'm wrong. I probably am, but anyway. So I've been doing quite well in Nvidia recently. Big stocks, Apple, moving. What are we doing? Yeah, kind of slightly upwards, but tiny movements there. Google again, relatively small movements up and down, roughly trading sideways. Square is down a fraction, so there's not much movement for most of these companies. It's not one of those days when everything opens up. What's Palantir doing? Palantir is up a fraction, so it's kind of trading sideways, sideways. It's Twitter is continuing to deliver. We're going to be hitting $70 soon. Sort of pushing towards this high 68s over here, and we're back up to this territory over there. Yeah, this is looking very good. I'm very happy with that. What's happening with our semiconductor stocks, other than the AMD and Nvidia that we've just seen? ASML. SML is moving sideways. Where are the other guys? Where are the other guys? I can't see them. Do I need to go and look them up? I thought I had them. What's Micron doing? Micron is up again. Micron is bouncing very hard. Look at that. That's a good, like, what is it, 1.5% or so up. So that's all good news. Luke is asking, are we going to be talking about crypto today? We'll cover it at some point. Probably not in a huge amount of length, because there isn't much happening. There isn't much movement, and there isn't much like big fat news. Elon's not been tweeting too much, disrupting the world. So yeah, we'll probably cover it. We'll look at it in a minute. But there's not a huge amount just before we go there. Anyway, let's look at Fiverr and Etsy combo. Fiverr is down a little bit, so we were sort of like having some good times over here. 251, so down a little bit of trading, 245. And what's Etsy doing? And Etsy is jumping upwards to compensate. They're doing the exact opposite. But Etsy, look, this is good for Etsy. That's a good solid 2% up, so that's good. I haven't been following what's happening with them. Have they released something? I don't know. I should probably have more of a a better way of doing it. Luke is saying he feels that it will get to the point where anything that Elon tweets will be insignificant in terms of affecting market movement. Unfortunately, it feels like we're nowhere near that position at the moment. So this is one I covered it in some videos that I did previously. Unfortunately, one of the biggest problems with the crypto market in general is it is still in an incredibly infantile stage in terms of its development and growth. It is still largely priced based on hype and potential, speculative potential. So we don't have a specific use case that is about to come in, right? We're all hoping, not all, some people are hoping that in the future there will be very practical use cases. It might become an actual currency that people will actually use, although in 12 years that hasn't really materialized. There might be some other adaptations, blockchain might actually begin being used for smart contracts in the right way rather than by creating pointless tokens that mean nothing. There might be all these kind of good things coming down the line, but the problem is we still don't. So at the moment, rather than basing the price on fundamentals or some kind of like reason why Bitcoin should be priced, whatever, people are kind of like trading based on buzzwords. Like people are saying, oh, it's dropped, it's low at the moment because it's only at $33,500 or whatever. But the problem is, how do you define what's low or high in a market where you can't mathematically value it? Is 33,000 low or is it really high? Is 60,000 good or is it high? Or like, is 10,000, like how can you tell? And unfortunately, we're in this kind of position where there isn't a good way of placing value on it. And while that remains, because the price is so heavily based on what is essentially hype, unfortunately, we're going to be in the situation where people saying stuff, the news, the media, Elon Musk doing stuff, Tesla accepting Bitcoin, not accepting Bitcoin, those kind of things are going to have a huge material impact on the price of Bitcoin because that is part of the hype. And when your entire price is based on it, that's what's going to be driving it. So until there is some kind of, and people like to talk about fundamentals with cryptocurrency saying, oh, but there is all this underlying stuff. If you take a step back and you actually just think about like the real world scenario, the fact is, I love the maths behind it, as I said lots of times. I love the concepts, but we don't have any underlying real value. We don't have a good, solid, fundamental reason why any of the cryptocurrencies should be worth whatever it is they're worth. And there's an even bigger question maybe about the pegged currencies, which appear to not be quite so pegged, but that's a topic for a whole other video or two. So unfortunately, that's so while we're at it, should we just jump and have a look at what's happening with Bitcoin for anyone who is curious? What is it, 32,800? Yeah, down a little bit, down 3.5% on the day, but actually, we were trading up to 35 overnight. So this level of fluctuation is not going to help because people keep saying that Bitcoin is now matured. Bitcoin is now ready. People are like, I want to be able to use Bitcoin to go and buy a car, right? I want to be able to go and turn up to a Tesla showroom or go online and purchase my Tesla using Bitcoin or something else, purchase my groceries using Bitcoin. The problem you have is if you get to a position where, you've been paid some money for selling something over here a few hours ago, and you got that money at 35, whatever it was, 35, what's the peak? 5. And now you're, like 2,500, you're like 8% down in relative terms. That kind of currency fluctuation is not really going to help. And I appreciate that it's a chicken and egg situation where adoption of Bitcoin would naturally drive stability in price, and stability in price is what will drive adoption. But something has to give, something has to happen first, and I just feel like we're nowhere near. I think a lot of proponents of cryptocurrencies perhaps over-egg the size, like the ability for this to be used as a meaningful way of transferring value when, within a month we can have 20% yo-yos like this. So if I got paid at the end of last month in Bitcoin, if by the time I go need to buy some milk or pay my gas bill, I can't because it's dropped in value by 20%. That is not something that any normal, regular people will adopt anytime soon because of the instability. And sure, people can say, well, traditional currencies are not underpinned by anything. There's no gold standard. It's all based on it. But they benefit from being a commonly accepted means of exchanging value and being that medium where people are happy to sell something and then a month later use the proceeds from that, sell their services or some goods or whatever it is, get some regular currency and then be able to exchange it for other things. The fact that that is a commonly accepted thing that builds that level of stability is a huge difference that I think a lot of the younger people, maybe who are very heavily invested in crypto, who think tomorrow is going to be the national currency of a random country in Africa or whatever, don't really quite grasp. Because real people, especially people in the poorer spectrums, who are frequently being touted as the people who will benefit from this because, all these cryptos are helping the unbanked or whatever, unfortunately will not ever use a currency where those risks exist. So anyway, enough rambling. Let's talk about some actual stocks. Let's quickly, so Tesla is dropping down back to 686. So the open is a bit mute, but it's probably more in line with kind of everything else, because everything else we're looking at is not really kind of, other than a couple of outliers like Micron and Etsy, who seems to be having a very good morning. Other than them, we kind of seem to be relatively flat. Even Palantir is not moving in either direction particularly, although there's a little bit of movement, but not anything drastic. So a relatively calm morning, which is good. This is good. When we've had tech stocks be moving up 2-3% per day over the last few days, that is highly unusual and really weird and really odd. So it's not anything that's really particularly good in the long run. By the way, this morning I made a video about Tesla. If you haven't seen it already, go and check it out later. Go save it to watch later, or go and stop watching this and go and watch it. There's some interesting stuff there, because some people have been saying that Tesla has been rising so much recently. Is it too expensive now? Should you stop buying it? And I cover a few of those things just in my particular view. But I might be wrong. That's just my personal view. Anyway. A lot more people are agreeing with me here than disagreeing, which is surprising, because I thought that maybe there'll be a lot more fans of crypto on, like YouTube, finance channel, etc., because that tends to be where everybody's going. Even if you look at the big YouTube channels, there seems to be this like very sharp movement from talking about investing and steady returns and how to analyze companies and how to maybe like build a portfolio, maybe how to manage your debt, how to improve your financial well-being, moving away from all of those topics that nobody cares about any longer towards something where we're talking about how to get 200-300% return in a month and buy Lambo, and all that kind of stuff. But surprisingly, most people seem to be agreeing, and people are trading memes, and people are saying altcoins are worthless, and I see the applications of some of the things out there in different ways. And I see that, for example, like smart contracts may have really good applications. In fact, they have extremely good applications for the people who create them, because they build in the gas fee. So if you're not familiar, there's some cryptocurrencies out there that are not really a currency, although they do have a value, but their primary kind of reason for existence is to create a chain on which other people can go and build their own tokens and smart contracts. And that can be used in anything from, proof of ownership, like NFTs, for example, like distributed ledger systems that track particular things, through to creating pointless meme tokens, where people go and spam everyone's channel, write lots of comments and try to push something, and every single day we seem to be having new ones created, and they all have the best developing team ever, and they're going to have their own wallet and their own exchange, and they're going to be going to the moon, and everyone's going to be a billionaire if you just go and buy it, or maybe it's going to help poor children in starving communities in some poor country, as we saw with one that blew up 2 days ago or whatever. What was it called? Save the Kids coin or something like that. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, the unfortunate situation we find ourselves in is all the good cases are the ones that actually take time and effort and will not make anyone rich overnight. So nobody's bothering to do those. Everyone's focusing on the get rich quick stuff, because there's so many impressionable people who will jump at the next bandwagon that will take them to the moon because, somebody said so. And if somebody dares to disagree with the millions of believers, the cult will come and they will tell them that they disagree with them in very strong terms. If you haven't seen some of my videos on this topic, just scroll down to find them. You'll notice they have a lot of views and a lot of thumbs down on them. But anyway, Tom is here, talking about Michael Berry. Hello, Tom. Very nice to see you. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you might have covered it. There's a lot of people out there who like putting like a famous face on their video and saying, "Oh, somebody said so, therefore." And I think a lot of people are kind of missing the point. So there was some news for anyone who hasn't been following it. There was some news where Michael Berry went and shorted Tesla reportedly during Q1. And a lot of people making videos about it like in the last few weeks saying, oh, look, Tesla is only going to go further down because the guy who predicted the 2008 financial crash said that Tesla is going down. Unfortunately, what most people forget is that Tesla was at some points during Q1 priced at $900 sort of order of magnitude. And the specific timings, the specific strike prices and all of that, or the short positions, are not known or publicly disclosed as far as I understand. Whatever. Tom was telling me I'm missing my words. The point being is he could have a strike which is above current price and win, even if Tesla continues going up. I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand. They talk in absolutes, and they don't realize that when the market moves, the position can still be right at that point, and he can still make money if he's $100 down from the peak, for example. And it doesn't really mean anything much. But anyway, even apparently he's closed positions. I've not been following. I don't play these things anyway. Look, there's a lot of people on board today. Thank you very much for joining. Let's go around and see what's happening with some of the other stocks. I was just thinking about 20 things, and I realized that I just took a 5-second timeout, and everyone's just saying, "Is he okay? Is he okay? What's in that tea? Is there some kind of weird herbal stuff?" It's just black tea. I drink black tea, no milk, no sugar. Because I'm boring, I guess. Anyway, what's happening with some of the with the stocks that did particularly well this morning? Virgin Galactic, everyone got very excited, but surprisingly, it's now trending down. So that's an interesting one for anyone who didn't join right at the beginning. Virgin Galactic got approval to take passengers to space from the FAA, which is a big deal for that particular company. As to whether it materializes into actual business, revenue, profits, and all that kind of jazz, well, everyone has to make up their own mind. I personally hold no position in Virgin Galactic, so make of that what you will. You need to go and do your own research. And the next one is Nike. Nike did particularly well today. I don't have Nike in here because I don't really track them. Nike's at $20 today. Doing pretty well. Reported very strong Q1 results. I kind of feel like personally, so if anyone hasn't seen, you can go and read them. There's they've grown a lot year on year, but there's massive kind of question marks from my personal perspective as to what the drivers of this are, and whether the drivers are some kind of sustained growth pattern that they're starting that is going to continue, or if potentially the quarter that they're reporting on had unusual circumstances where people buying Nike products as opposed to buying suits or workwear or other kind of things, and potentially people doing more, maybe things that are not going to translate into long-term behaviors. I think people are potentially overestimating slightly on what's happening there, but hey, if you're invested in Nike, you are having a very good day. That is a huge jump in one day, just from one set of quarterly results. I think even when Elon goes and announces something that smashes all records, he gets nothing like this kind of result. So that's quite interesting. I'm saying that approval is like me getting approval to lose weight, possible but not likely. Well, I think they're going to do something with it. The question is this sort of like one of those vanity type projects? Like, is it a project that is really going to become like a mainstay? Because remember, like, charging a few rich people to take them sort of close to orbit or something every now and then is kind of fun in games, but it's not something that's going to build the sort of company, I think, from my personal perspective, again, that deserves the sort of valuation that Virgin Galactic has, because we're talking about a company that has a market cap of $8.4 billion. And okay, that's not like, you know, ridiculously huge. It's not like amazing by any standard. But we're talking about a company that has like a valuation as though they have some kind of space program where, you know, they're going to be launching rockets, they're going to be taking satellites to space, they're going to be doing other kind of things. And at the moment, like, I think the value of taking a few rich guys on a what is basically just like somewhere just into the orbital kind of space for a few minutes, I'm not sure that that is a company that is really going to generate the sort of revenues they need, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody's asking, is it, Manesh is asking, is it too late to buy CCIV? And that's an interesting question that perhaps deserves a little video of its own. We're sort of trading in this 25.8 territory, 25.84. And it's a difficult question because several different things are going to happening. In the grand scheme of things, I still kind of, I'm in the hold pattern. I haven't been putting any more money into CCIV recently because I feel that the share price is yo-yoing based on short-term trading and stuff like that. I think the only meaningful thing that is really going to be happening over the next year that is genuinely material is the ticker change to LCID from CCIV. But other than that, I don't really see what the value that the company is bringing kind of between now and say Q2 next year realistically, because those 577 vehicles, they'll sell at some point. If they sell on time, great. And it might be a short term, you know, when the first ones roll out and some people begin receiving them, not any normal people. Yeah, people will get excited by it, but they'll die down because you still can't order them like as a regular normal human being. There's still going to be several months before you can order them, and the production volumes in Q1, Q2 next year are likely to be very low based on all the information that's coming out. Having said that, they are saying that they are accelerating the development of the factory, they're extending the existing production line, and they're going to try to build more automation more quickly. They're fast forwarding $300-something million, $350 million, and they're increasing it by 6 to 8% at the same time, according to SEC papers. If you want to go and check them out, just go and Google SEC CCIV and you'll find them. So there's some interesting stuff that's coming out that may mean that they're going to be bringing some of the production forward, but remember, this is bringing production forward from what is already a severely delayed kind of timeline in real terms, because they were saying they're going to make 6,000 cars this year, only back in March this year, I think it was. So it's not that long ago. As to whether it's a good time to buy, I'm not sure. I'm personally waiting because I feel that because of the lack of material factors that are likely to impact the price of CCIV in the next few months, the likelihood is the price is going to go up and down. You know, it could be the ticker, like, this is a difficult thing to predict. With something that is largely still based on the same thing that I was mentioning earlier, based on hype and, you know, hope for the future. Although these guys have a lot of things in place, right? Like they have a factory, like an actual physical big built factory that has large parts of the production line already built and that has produced, I think, 190 cars already. So they have something that is operational. They have the right people in place. They have 4.5 or whatever it is, I can't remember the exact number, $1 billion in the bank. So there's a lot of really good things that most companies in their position do not even come close to, or like are a million miles away. But a lot of their price is still based on hype at this stage, because mathematically you'd be saying, well, hang on, there is massive question marks around the risk here. Like, when are they actually going to begin delivering? Are there other opportunities where I can get some growth on my stocks more quickly? And those are very valid positions. But because they are still based, a lot of their price is really based on, you know, that hype compared to other companies that are actively in the market, actively growing, like AMD, for example. I made a video a few days back. There's going to be a higher level of volatility in all likelihood with this stock, which there has been up till now. And as a result, I'm kind of holding, because it's one of those where there are other opportunities I see that also offer really good upsides. And I'm happy to invest in those opportunities for now. If they drop to a point like they have done, like to below $20 or something like that, because, you know, some negative news comes out, somebody says something negative about them, I don't know, Peter Rawlinson goes on another interview and does a car crash again, a car crash interview, not a real car crash. Maybe then the share price will dip and then I'll be buying at that point. But for me at the moment, I'm sort of on a holding pattern. But make sure you do your own homework. I have obviously no idea. And don't listen to what random people on the internet say. AMD is falling back down with 85.40. That's interesting, opening down there after a really strong couple of days. We'll see what transpires with that. Where is Nvidia? Because Nvidia is doing some crazy. I should do a video about Nvidia. Look, Nvidia opened really good up there and has lost $12 since then. So that'll be an interesting one to follow. Somebody's asking, I think some people are asking, what platform do I use? I can see a few different comments. I can't really see. Opinions on GME with the huge shorts recently revealed against the lawsuit against Robinhood. I don't have a very strong opinion. Let's have a look at AMC and GME. I don't have a strong opinion because I've explained this in great depth in some of the other videos, and I covered it. I covered my explanation. Look, the share price is not reflecting that there's much optimism, but for anyone who hasn't heard, or even if you heard me talk about it before, it's really, really critical, I think, that people understand. There is a big difference between investing and other things that you can do with money, with shares, with buying or selling shares. And people seem to kind of think that everything that falls under this umbrella is kind of the same thing. But there's a really big difference. They're completely different games. Investing versus trading on, like swings, on day patterns, on whatever, on technical, trying to like figure out what the technical analysis is saying to you, versus other things that potentially people do, which is like, say, shorting, trying to squeeze people who are shorting. And those are so different in how you approach them, how you think about them, the things that drive them. I think most people don't. I hear a lot of people talking about investing in AMC and investing in GME, and that is a problem, because I think people simplify the way that short squeezes work far beyond like the reality of it. And we are seeing this, like with AMC, we're seeing this with GameStop. I think people kind of think that the way that people will have to unravel their short positions has to follow a particular way. And the truth is, like I was saying this before the naked short stuff was really coming out. I was saying there are so many different things that could be playing behind the scenes, as well as real things like, for example, cycling the same shares to close out your positions rather than having to buy everything available in the market. Because just like you can go and build up short positions of over 100% of available shares without actually borrowing over 100% of the shares, you can do the same thing in reverse. And I think, like, without going into a lot of depth, I think a lot of people kind of really misunderstand what really can be happening with short positions on stocks and how they can be. And the fact is, these guys are in it for the long haul. This is their entire business. Sure, in some cases, some fun games can happen, and some people will get rich by investing in the right next, like Wall Street bet stock. But the vast majority of people will only be putting their money in when it's sort of at or near the top, and then sitting there hoping that it's going to go to 1,000 or whatever, which never really materializes. And I think it's a dangerous precedent, because it's another one of those where the reason so many people are entering the space is not really because they want to stick it to the corporate entity. I know that's what everyone's saying. The real reason why a lot of people are entering the space is because they think they can make a lot of money quickly. Like, if we're honest with ourselves, right? And the problem with these types of things is, by the time that most people turn up to try to make their money quickly, it is usually too late. And a lot of people are going to learn the hard way that that isn't really something that will help them long term understand how to manage their money, how to manage investments. Look, the short squeezes are not having a very good day today. So if you're in that game, you need to decide what you want to do about it, whether you want to keep playing this game and sit there hoping that you're about to go to $1 million or whatever it is. But that's just my personal view. Somebody was asking what platforms I use. I think somebody is saying I use Trading212, I use Stake. So this platform that I'm using here is Trading212. It is available in the UK and quite a few other countries around the world, not available in the US or Canada, I think. This platform, I use it because it has these good graphs. It has the best data and the best information out of all the different UK platforms. They currently don't accept new customers. They haven't been accepting new customers since the end of January. And they haven't got an official reason why. Their official reason when they first did it was because they had a high volume of people when the whole GME saga was happening. When that subsided, they changed that reason, and they said that their official reason was then to upgrade the technology. But we're now 5 months down the line, and it is quite unusual for an existing company, that is doing so well, that has so many customers, to not accept any new ones for 5 months. And there's a lot of question marks being asked, and I think it's kind of weird that they're not addressing. I got called out by Trading212 on their own community for making a video where I was saying some stuff about their recent terms and conditions. I pointed out that there's a few things that I think are quite wrong in their terms and conditions. and I stand by my video. For example, they were telling me that I incorrectly interpreted something. They're saying so they have updated terms and conditions to allow them to lend shares out that people own to third parties with more ease. And there was a lot of question marks around why do you need to do it, because you already had terms and conditions that allowed you to lend shares out. There's a few things in those terms and conditions that this is like very similar to some of the stuff that's happening with Robinhood, where people are kind of asking questions as to why would you be doing that. So they introduced wording around, oh, this might have different tax implications to what you would normally be expecting from dividends. And the problem is in the UK and in lots of other countries as well, shares that are lent out, the dividends that you receive are not real dividends, because it's the person who has borrowed the shares, or maybe the person they sold those shares to, who's getting the actual dividend. And so what you receive instead is something that's called a manufactured payment instead of the dividend. And under UK legislation, under the Finance Act 2013, and the blah, 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 I'm not going to get into the depths, but the treatment of those is exactly the same as with dividends. So you will pay tax under the dividend tax rate, and you can have your dividend tax-free allowance, all of that. Like, as far as you're concerned, you still have the share and you got a dividend and you don't care about and that's the right thing, because, you're the consumer. Why should you have to do all the thinking around what that means for you, etc.? But unfortunately, Trading 212 have had this amazing idea to go and create this new set of T's and C's, which kind of suggests that they're not going to be doing that approach, and they're going to find a new loophole. The whole reason the new legislation came in 2013, 2014 with that Finance Act is to avoid the loopholes that these investment firms were using at the time to go around the legislation that already existed, because we already had Finance Act, was in 2007, that governed this stuff. And it kind of sounds very much like maybe some of these companies are beginning to think around new ways of circumnavigating it so that they can, lend shares more easily and make more money on it, and so that you would end up suffering because you would not be able to actually get the money. And some of the recent payments, these manufactured payments that people have been receiving in Trading 212, go and check your account if you want to, have been called return of capital, which certainly, if you work in finance, sounds in no way like something that normal people would perceive to be a dividend. A return of capital is return of, the money that you have sitting somewhere that is invested. It kind of sounds a little bit like it's just the principal amount only, but maybe principal plus whatever has been earned and accrued up to that point. But it certainly doesn't sound like a dividend, and no normal person would treat it as such. Anyway, there we go. I use this because it has really good data. It has very good information. It has information on companies over here that no other platforms. So in the UK, if you do have Trading 212, the information available is really good. Look, I can go and look at information on Tesla. Look, this is quite detailed. This is very good. I can look at it by year. I can look at it by quarter for the last few quarters. It goes into quite a lot of depth. It's very, very impressive, the information you can get from this. The charts. Most of the other, I think every other platform that is free or cheap doesn't even come close to this level of data. But at the same time, the stuff they're doing kind of doesn't instill confidence, and the new fees, if you're trading regularly, or you're like not necessarily trading, but buying and selling stocks, like, every few months, for example, you'll exit a position for some of your stocks because, you feel like the value's not there anymore, the company's not doing as well, and then you might buy something else. Then you're going to be suffering from those transaction fees, because now you have to pay 0.15% foreign exchange fee to Trading 212 for every single transaction that is not in pounds. Whereas with Stake, which is my other platform that I'm using now, you only pay the 1.5%, 0.5% when you load money in or take money out. But when you're within the platform, to buy and sell out of positions, it costs you nothing. And that's something that I particularly like about it. I like that it's just calm. It just, everything in it, like if I look at the same stuff with Tesla, I don't have the whole, like, I can do the charts if I want. I can get, my information over here on a day basis and whatever. It's not as live. It's not as, information heavy. I can't get my company performance numbers to the same degree. So they do something. You can go and look at financials. It's good. It's not quite as in depth. Maybe it goes, back a little bit further on this. But it is good. But it's a platform that is more probably for long-term investors, that is not necessarily trying to get you to like keep your finger on the pulse, you know, like there's a candlestick that is doing something, you know, indices are overlapping, whatever. But anyway, if anyone wants to get a free share, use my link in the description below. I'd be really appreciative. Thank you so much. But anyway, let's go and check what's happening with some of the other companies. Stake does not offer an ISA. That is a very valid point, and that is a big downside if you're based in the UK. However, like I mix and match my stuff anyway. My ISAs are on Trading212. This is my actual ISA account here. You can see that I've only used 18% of my ISA utilization this year. Dear, I need to put some more money in. I use all the other platforms too. I also use eToro. I also use FREETRADE. Go and check my, I have some videos where I compare all these different ones. If you're interested, go and check those out. By the way, look at this. Tesla's dropping back down to sort of the same place where we closed yesterday at $680. So it's sort of normalizing, not much going on. Let's close these ones. I don't really want to watch these ones. Go away. Etsy, look, Etsy started good, but sort of came down a little bit, although it's still going well. Yeah, there's not much movement this morning. Shall we quickly talk about what's happening with Bitcoin? Again, just for anyone who is curious, to anyone who is interested. And the answer is not much. We've been sitting in the same sort of spot, like really for a little while. Okay, well, we had this fun and games, obviously, when I was making a video as I was doing this. But largely speaking, there's not really been anything particularly interesting. Elon hasn't been tweeting is probably the main reason. That's probably all there is to say about that. Yeah, what's happening with the market overall? Should we have a look at that? Because that's always a really interesting thing to compare. I got S&P in here, yeah. What is happening with this chart? Oh my god. Okay. Trading sideways. There is almost no movement. If you just look at the scale, there is absolutely no movement whatsoever. So this is interesting. Everything is staying quite flat. It's like, looks like it's a very quiet start to Friday. Not much movement at all. Yeah, a good. Maybe we should all just knock off at lunchtime and go. And oh, Canoe's dropping a little bit. Maybe we should all just knock off and just treat ourselves to a long weekend. I know it's going to be raining in the UK if you're based in the UK, but you know, not much investing games to play. So other than losing on a few positions, but yeah. What do people say in the comments? I haven't been following it. Do we have a date for the ticker change for CCIV? We do not, as far as I understand it. I think the latest filings did not stipulate when. The current set, I think the latest thing they officially submitted was Q3, but with the fact that they're saying they've made an SEC declaration, they're accelerating development, they're accelerating building, they're accelerating spend, which is a material thing, and they're increasing the level of spend. That is a strong indicator that it's probably likely to be sooner rather than later. It's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed with this. It could be pushed to Q4. Who knows? But it is an indicator that is likely to be coming sooner rather than later. I would probably be expecting somewhere end of July myself. That's my personal guess. I have no idea. I'm just speculating, but we shall see. In the absence of people's questions, I think I'm going to go make another video. I have one that I really want to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit it in today. Hopefully, let's see how we go. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it as always, and I'll see you guys later.